All right, we are so back. We're mixing it up a little bit on this fine day. We got ourselves a woodworking video. So, trying to make a picture frame here, right? Just something to hold my bachelor's degree diploma in that I'm going to be receiving in a couple of... I don't know, here pretty soon after recording this voiceover, I think. I don't think I failed my finals, so we should be chilling and receiving that. But first, what we had to do was we had to figure out how I was going to rip these boards down the middle. Because, as will be relevant here in a little bit, I'm missing what are probably some key tools to doing this. I, one, don't have a table saw, and two, don't have a miter/chop saw. So I had to get a little creative with some of these cuts. And this was the first one that I really had to get creative on, because trying to figure out how I was going to rip these boards was literally the first cut I did. And it took me this setup you're seeing here where I'm just clamping stuff down to have a straight edge to go against with the circular saw. Took me longer than I would like to admit to develop. But hey, look at that. Look at that. It's working. Look at the circular saw. Look at that product placement right there. Yeah, look, it's pretty square. It's a pretty good cut. But this angle, you can see that it really wasn't as square as I would like it to be. And you can see the table and the circular saw bouncing around a bit, which ended up not really being a problem, but it felt like in my heart it was going to be a problem. And now I've got to do basically the same thing again, but cross-cut them so that there's two that are longer and two that are shorter, because it's like a rectangular picture frame, right? You need four sides and they need to be different. You've seen a picture frame before. You know what I'm talking about. But this one was even worse, because watch the table. Watch the table in the background. The camera's not moving. The camera's on a tripod. Watch as I'm pushing the circular saw through the boards. The whole table starts tipping. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't even realize it when I was doing it, because I thought the boards were slipping. I thought the clamps just weren't tight enough, but I was like, it's gonna work. And I mean, it worked. They're cut. And also, pro tip, leave them oversized at this point. This is going to be also important later, because now I'm trying to route out the edges for the glass, and then also the decorative side on the other side. And those of you who are knowers will probably be questioning why I'm routing the wood this way, because it's the wrong way, for being honest. And the reason I'm doing it is because I don't have spiral bits. I only have the sad ones that are not spiral. So it was just chewing up the wood, and it was splintering everywhere when I was trying to do it the right way. So I had to do basically all of the routing going the incorrect way. But because of that, I wasn't really paying attention to the router itself, which led to this issue.
All right, so first real issue. The router started lowering itself because the quick release lever thing came loose. So it's tightened now, but I'm not sure. Let's see if you can see that. I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do about all this that's not level, or even kind of close, because it's about an 1/8 inch thicker than one side. But a lot of that can come off, I think, actually get cut off, because it's a bit oversized still. But I guess we're gonna see. Man.
So at this point, I still didn't really have a solution to that issue at all. I just figured I'd figure it out later, and you know what? I kinda did. But we'll be back to that. Keep that one in your noggin for a moment, because this was sort of the solution right here, which was to take the hand plane and go crazy. But I'm sure those of you who are familiar with the hand plane are like, why are you planing directly towards your other hand? Isn't that a terrible idea? And to that, I will say that yes, it is a terrible idea, and I don't know why I was doing it, but I keep doing it. There's so much footage where I keep pointing the sharp object directly into my other hand. And I'm going to be honest, when I was doing it, it felt fine. It felt like my hand was light years away and I wasn't going to cut myself. But looking back at the footage, there's so much, especially, I'm going to bust the chisels out in a minute here, and you're going to see the chisels. There's a lot of footage where they're going straight at my other hand. And to be fair, at that point, I put gloves on. And I was like, it's going to hit the gloves, but it's just gonna go straight through the gloves, man. And I'm still going towards my hand. I gotta not not do that. But yeah, I don't know. So now we're trying to cut these 45-degree miter cuts because, as mentioned before, I don't have a chop saw / miter saw thing. So I had to theory craft some fun way to just like do that. And we're trying the pull saw first. I thought this was going to work better than it did. It took approximately 8 years. Also, about the sharp object thing I was just talking about, I swear to God, it's not as close to my hand as it looks in this shot. I don't know why my hand looks like it's right under the blade, but I swear to you, there was like 8 inches between the saw blade and my hand. There was enough space, but it cut like pretty square and pretty straight through these for the 45-degree cuts, but it wasn't perfect, which became a problem when I got through a couple of them and tried to like test fit it, and there was so much space between them. It was terrible. So I went back, busted out this yellow angle finder thing again. I don't really know what the purpose of this is, but it lets me mark the 45-degree angle, so it's kind of cool. I was like, what if I just sand them flat with the orbit? Terrible idea. I don't know why I thought that would work. I guess I thought that I could just like hold it up to the orbit and it would just sand off the high spots. But the problem is when nothing's clamped, your whole arms move. So it just rounds it over. So I just made the problem worse. Now nothing was square. So now I'm trying to figure out what I can clamp to this to get the circular saw to cut the 45-degree angle. So I'm basically doing the same jank thing I did at the very beginning with the rip cuts and the cross cuts, but I'm doing it for the miter cuts. And this is pretty much what I cooked up. And honestly, it worked pretty well. It worked better than I thought it would at the very least. The cuts weren't perfectly square, I'm not going to lie to you. But they were straight now, which is way better than it was before. Yeah, this is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, I need to go get something. I don't know what I'm getting in this shot, but then we come back, and now we're gluing. And this is... I thought about making like a jig setup so that I could clamp the corners easier, because I feared that if I clamped it the way I'm doing it right now, it was all going to slide around on me, and I wasn't going to be able to line the corners up properly, which ended up kind of happening, but not bad enough to where it mattered. And now you see all of the spots from before that we're not going to have to deal with because the router started syncing, and how my clamping method kind of twisted the boards a little bit, but also they were kind of twisting themselves at this point because I did not do this fast enough, and stuff kept twisting because it was just sitting in the workspace, right? So my solution here was to just sand everything down and then start chiseling out all the spots that had been messed up by the router, and just like keep going at it until stuff fit, because I just needed the glass to fit in this little space, because right here the glass was nowhere close to fitting. I needed like another ½ inch on every side at least, and this took quite a while. I'm not gonna lie. This footage that you're seeing is sped up significantly, as I'm sure you're aware, but also this is not even all of it. Like, this is another example where I was kind of going straight at my hand, but because like, why my left hand? Why is my left hand there? Get your hand out of the way. But yeah. So now this was my diploma frame, right? So I was like, what if I make a cool inlay out of this maple to put in the walnut frame? That could be a cool little contrast thing. So I was gonna make a cool little longhorn inlay, right, to put in there. Well, that might have been like the worst thing I possibly could have thought of. This, I don't know, I grabbed like the rock maple. It was so hard to cut and so hard to carve. So this is me drawing the little thing on there so I could try to get all of that extra material off this, which already it's so small and the grain is not in a friendly way to do this. But I tried to just chisel off the same way I was chiseling the walnut on the frame, and it just wasn't happening. It was actually like trying to chisel a rock. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a chunk out of this table. So I put this piece of wood under it, the scrap wood, and nothing is working. So I start trying to cook up a new method. And honestly, thinking back on it now, I literally just had this thought right now as I'm recording the voiceover. I probably should have tried using the Dremel for this, because you're going to see what I tried to do with the drill here in a second, where I try to make a line with drill holes and then just like knock the wood off. Probably could have done that just like so much better with the Dremel and just go crazy like it's a sanding tool because, you know, like that's what it's for. But I didn't think of that until just now, so I want to store that one away in the memory bank, I think, and we might be breaking that out later. I have no idea if it would have even worked though, because this was like, I don't know. There was no carving this wood. The drill is on like max power here, and it was barely going through these holes. But yeah, so I tried to do these holes with the drill, and then this wondrous thing happened.
Fuck. God damn it.
I broke it.
God fucking damn it.
Right into two pieces. And at this point, it had been like hours of me trying to do that, and I was just thinking, well, there's two solutions here. I can either go get some softer wood to do the inlay, or I could just like not do the inlay because I don't have a plunge router either, so I wasn't really even sure how I was gonna put it in the frame. I was gonna maybe just like drill holes and make it happen, but I was kind of happy with how the frame was looking, so I just went ahead and said screw it, no inlay. Started sanding to get ready to put finish on there. I started putting making the holes for the hardware so I can actually hang the frame. It's kind of an important part of the frame is putting it on the wall. But yeah, I get those holes in there, start doing the finish, and this took quite a while, I'm not going to lie. Also, the first day of putting the finish on, I didn't have the right gloves. I used just random vinyl gloves that I had for cleaning, but that's not the right glove. You could see, like, you shouldn't be able to see my skin through the glove because I don't think any of the actual, I'm completely blanking on what they're called, but the ones that actually will keep the chemicals off your skin are not see-through. And now I have them, and they will make an appearance in the next part where I'm putting, not the next part here in like 20 seconds, where I'm putting another coat of finish on there. Because right now I'm buffing it up. I'm buffing up the last layer so that I can put another layer to give it that nice sheen, because this is just like Rubio Monocoat. I guess that's probably an important part of this. But now I'm putting some Rubio Monocoat on for a second time with these little white pads. And now I've got the real gloves on so that I don't have just like the worst time, because after I used the other ones, I swear my hands smelled like the finish all day. It was on me. It got through the gloves, which is not what you want to see, especially when it took like 20 something minutes to put the stuff on. So it was just like seeping into my skin the whole time and I didn't realize it. But you know, you live and you learn. You live and you learn. You live and you learn to just like get the right gloves. But now we got to put all the hardware on because the finish is dried. It's looking pretty good, I'm not going to lie. Although it's kind of hard to see in this shot because I don't know what the camera was trying to focus on. My thumb, I guess. But it's not the frame that's the most prominent thing in the shot, IMO. But yeah, putting the hanging hardware on. Putting the hanging hardware on. Putting the hardware that holds the glass in place. Putting all those things on with my friendly screwdriver. And then we're still doing it. We're still putting hardware on. We're putting the wire on this time. We're putting the wire on the hanging thing. Although I'm going to be honest, this is a little bit of movie magic because actually this is not the final time. I had to take it all back off and put it all back on because I got the length wrong. So it was hanging way too low and you could just like see the thing. It's still kind of too low if I'm being honest, but you don't need to know that. Besides the fact that I'm telling you that. But yeah, now we got to put the glass in. And this part was a little nerve-wracking because it fit before I put the finish on, but then I put the finish on and part of me thought it wasn't going to fit because like right here, it fits maybe a little too perfectly, if we're being honest. If the frame shifts like at all, it might shatter the glass because it's actual glass. But yeah, here's the glam shot of the frame and the back of the frame. This is not a great glam shot, but if we turn around and see the front of it, look at that. Look at that. Look at those embossed edges. Is embossed the right word? I don't know. But look at those raised edges with the nice glass and then me. Yep. That's the video.